champion Yunara reaction. It just came out today, or at least the abilities were shown today. So watching this Vandero video about Yunara.
Test Yunara. So in today's video,
wait, he got the play tested, but I didn't.
I'll show you her abilities, exact tooltips,
what the
cooldowns, her gameplay, and tips from Riot, as well as a lot of interactions with her abilities that everyone should know about. Yunara's passive is called Vow to the First Lands. Yunara critical strikes deal extra magic damage.
Crits do magic seems broken.
That's it. Yunara's Q
you do mixed damage like
Cultivation of Spirit.
Oh, this
Yunara
one look crazy.
Gains a stack of Unleash with every attack, plus an extra one when she hits a champion or lands a crit.
Oh, oh, sorry. This is Ash Q.
Yunara can activate her Q to gain
attack
speed, bonus damage on hit, and will deal splash damage in a small
so
area.
So Qs are all in.
Attack.
All in tool.
This ability is automatically activated while Yunara is transcended.
Oh, if you ulti, you get your Q for free.
Let's talk about the ult
Interesting.
now before we look at W and D, as ult empowers all the abilities.
Wow.
Yunara's ult is called Transcend Oneself. Yunara taps into her full power, entering and transcending.
So you don't need a Q management if you have ulti.
Enhances all of her basic abilities for the duration. Yunara's W is called Arc of Judgment, Arc of Ruin.
Yunara spinning beads.
Swirling prayer beat out.
That's cool.
Damages and slows enemies as it travels. At its
end
point, it lingers and expands for
that
a
looks
moment,
crazy.
continuing to damage enemies who don't get out of the way. While transcended, instead of a swirling prayer beat, she fires a beam of spirit magic. That slows
looks crazy.
Damage in a line.
This could be your burst.
Yunara's E is called Kanmei Steps, Untouchable
Surprise
Shadows.
damage.
Yunara gains a
finish with
burst
W
of move speed to chase down enemies.
This Kaiser E.
Or dodge skill shots.
It's just Kaiser E.
While transcended, instead of a move speed boost,
dash?
this ability becomes a dash.
So that's
Now
Zeri
let's have
E.
a closer look at Yunara's tooltips, scalings, and cooldowns. Here is the passive. Yunara auto attacks that are crits deal bonus damage.
So you need to build
bonus
crit.
damage is 10%, but it also scales with 0.1% ability power. Yunara Q is her bread and butter.
Magic?
The ability that you will need to learn to play around.
Wait, there's
we'll
AP
stop here
scaling.
for a moment, as there are plenty of things to know.
The hell?
As I already mentioned, you get 1 stack per auto attack, plus another one when you hit a champion or land a crit, and you need a total of 8 stacks to be able to activate the ability. It stacks pretty quickly, and the ability itself doesn't have any cooldown. Q passive also makes Yunara attacks deal an additional magic damage on hit, from 5 to 25 depending on Q level.
I bet with run she goes crazy.
Boosts her attacks for 5 seconds, providing from 40 to 80% attack speed, and makes her deal an additional magic damage on hit.
Q max? It looks like Q max.
Her attacks spread to nearby enemies, dealing physical damage, scaling with 30%.
You can push with this pretty easily, actually.
If you don't attack for 6 seconds,
oh, she's got wave clear with Q.
Every half a second. But how does this ability spread? How many targets can she hit with it? How are on-hits applied? Well, let's look at the tooltip. As we can see here, spread attacks apply on-hit effects at 30% effectiveness, and lifesteal also at 30% effectiveness. Yunara's
30%
spread in all directions. Even if someone stands in front of
fuck, this looks crazy.
She can still hit them with splash damage.
This looks crazy.
How many extra targets can she hit? There is no limit to the amount of damage she can hit with her splash damage.
What is this?
As a result, her wave clear with Q activated is super good, and in teamfights, she can deal a ton of AoE damage.
This is the 200 years of Saber.
Another super important thing about Yunara Q is that it stacks on everything you attack.
What the fuck?
It stacks on structures too. But what if you attack the structure with your Q activated?
Oh, does it spread?
Well,
oh my
good news
god.
For Yunara.
What the heck?
Still spread through structures.
This is Saber, but updated.
That's another great thing for wave clearing.
Is this not Saber, but better?
Not only that, but attacks that spread
what is going on?
Also deal 250%
Saber Ash mix
damage to
with no
minions
CC.
below 30% HP, ensuring you don't miss too many CS. What is also worth noting is that if you crit your target, the spread attacks will crit as well.
This shit looks crazy, bro. This does not look balanced.
Now let's look
There's
at
no
her
way.
W. Her W base
There's
cooldown
no
is
way.
10 seconds, reduced to 5
10 seconds is pretty good.
Transcended.
Wow, 5 seconds?
Both
Hyper
the
beam?
initial hit and the damage per second area of effect
Looks
at the
pretty
end of
good.
W deal physical damage, but scale with both AD and
okay,
AP.
physical. Okay, interesting.
Initial hit slows by 99%.
This W looks pretty consistent.
Seconds, so it's a really powerful slow. Empowered W, however, is like a laser
Hyper
version
beam,
of
bro.
W.
Oh my god.
Overall, does more damage, but it's split half in physical and half in magic damage.
Interesting.
Both of these parts scale with AD and AP. As you can see here, her W AP scalings are pretty
99% slow looks
Maybe
unbalanced.
She won't be playable as an AP champion, but she definitely will make a good use of any AP you get from attack speed items, such as Ginsu's Rageblade. When it comes to W, it's also worth noting you can shoot your Ws through the walls, no problem.
No
And another
move,
thing
no
you should
mobility
remember
without your
is
ulti,
that
it looks
the
like.
cast time of W is reduced with permanent attack speed you have. So this should make it easier to land your Ws in the late game when enemies get some
It's
more
very
movement
small
speed.
skill shot though.
Now let's have a look at Yunara's E.
Interesting.
The cooldown of this ability is from 10 to 6 seconds. She gains from 60 to 80% movement speed depending on the level of ability.
This is
This is
Kaisi,
also
right?
increased by another half when you move towards an enemy champion.
So they don't want it to
It makes
escape.
the
You want it
perfect
to
ability for
attack with
chasing
this.
Enemies. That being
Yeah,
said,
chase with
this
this.
movement speed boost decays over 2 seconds. When you activate Yunara's ult, your E becomes a dash, similar to Lucian's. You might be
I heard that you
wondering,
could reset
can
your
she
E
dash
with
through
ult.
the walls with that empowered E? Well, yes she can. This wall is about the biggest wall she can dash through with
That's
her
pretty big.
empowered E. So cannot dash through the thickest walls, but through some thinner walls, yes.
That's a crazy angle.
Another thing that's worth noting is that your ult refreshes your E. This
Okay.
means that before casting your
E
ult,
and then R.
you usually
Yeah.
want to use your E for the movement speed boost.
Interesting.
Using E, ult, E is gonna be a very common combo for chasing or escaping.
Interesting.
Now let's look at the final
E
tooltip,
R E.
the tooltip of your ultimate spell. Yunara's ultimate ability has a cooldown of 100, 85, 70 seconds based on the ult level.
Hey, this is your all in, yeah?
When you use this ability, you enter Transcendent State for 15 seconds.
It's a long time.
So it's a pretty long time. I already mentioned that ult refreshes the E cooldown on cast, but during the testing, I
The
noticed
W
that when
99%
Transcendent
slow.
State wears off, it refreshes
Holy
both
fuck.
her W and E cooldowns. Although I haven't seen a mention that it should do it. If this feature is intended, using your W and E right before your Transcendent State wears off
You get
would
two
make
Ws
a
and
lot of
Es?
sense. Now let's talk a little about gameplay.
Oh, right before it.
Yunara
Oh,
is
right
a
before it ends.
traditional
I see.
auto-attack based AD carry, and Riot doesn't intend for her to be played in other roles. So Riot wants Yunara only as an AD carry in the bot lane.
Okay.
Yunara is intended to serve the player that embraces core skills, such as spacing, positioning, and high damage uptime. We've already gone through her abilities in details, so how should you play her? Let's start in lane. As
W on
Riot is
CC,
suggesting,
all in with
play
Q.
safe until your Q is ready or about to be ready, and then
Then
look
E
to
forward
start
and Q.
aggressing. Use your E to boost movement
Oh, the
speed
W looks
after you feed your
crazy!
enemies with W.
Dude, did you see it hit
That way,
Varus?
you can slow your
99% slow.
enemies heavily.
What?
Once you get your ult, your opportunity to outplay enemies increases drastically. That being said, as
Hyper
Riot
beam?
is saying, Yunara thrives in small
my God.
scraper fights rather than massive, highly organized team fights. But I still believe she should do pretty decent in typical team fights when she has her team around her. On the other hand, when you play against Yunara, look at her usage of Q or ult. When you see her activating either of that, it is a good moment to disengage the fight and wait for her empowered Q to wear off. Yunara's ability to engage relies heavily on her allies or her ability to hit you with W
Her
or
eyes?
empowered W. So
Oh,
try
allies.
to dodge Yunara's Ws as much as possible. Yunara will make it to the live servers in the middle of July, precisely on July 16. So what do you guys think about Yunara? Playing her was pretty fun. Let me know in the comments what do you think. Thanks for watching.
Dude, she looks busted. She looks busted. I'm gonna be a Yunara main. The magic, doing magic damage when you have crit is like, you can't build against it because she does physical and magic. That part is kind of broken. You know what I mean? I think historically, whenever a champion has had like mixed damage like that in the kit, it's kind of OP. And then her Q looks crazy. I think her W giving 99% slow is crazy for how easy it looks to hit. We'll have to see how consistent she's able to do her damage, but it looks kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, excited to play.